You're now listening to episode 69. Grow up. Just fucking start the show. Welcome back to Signed In. I am Jeremy Superpro 33.
I'm Craig Propdresser.
And I'm Sean Shonix, disconnected.
Did you add that?
About.
You can't even get online to change that.
I can't.
You're like old school Stone Age.
I don't like it. It says disconnected under my name.
All the time.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah, it just says, and I'm like, that's mean. I'm there.
Sean is without internet.
Yeah.
Maybe if you paid attention to the world around you, you would be more connected.
Well,
sorry, that was a reach. Go for it.
Egypt turned off my internet.
What? I don't know what's happening.
Oh, I gotcha. Way to be timely.
Hey,
but
You're only a month late.
You gave up your internet connectivity.
Yes.
But you gained a house.
I did.
So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank
Achievement
you.
unlocked.
Thank you.
So, there was that
Well,
noise.
it will when it gets online.
As long as it's... Exactly. Oh, yeah. It's, yeah.
Hey, you'll be back online before the PS3 is.
Oh, hey, they're saying next week.
Well, that's when I'm gonna.
Oh, there you
I'm
go.
looking at Tuesday. I'm looking at Tuesday,
Also-
17th,
Also, they've been saying next week for like 3 weeks, so we're fine, I think.
and that shows
You're gonna make it.
That shows how much I don't know about anything because I had no idea that network was down until someone had mentioned. I think I was tweeting about.
You don't have a PS3.
I don't, but still.
You mean
know,
as far as video game
it's
information?
like keeping my ear or my finger to the pulse of the video game
Yeah.
world. No, it doesn't happen.
You kind of more work in the morgue of the video game world.
I do.
You get people
You're the
in there,
necrophiliac of the
and you're
video
like,
game world.
what was this guy all about?
Yeah.
This dude's like 90, dude.
That's how I roll.
All right, well, it is Friday the 13th,
That's right.
which I just learned about.
Because you're
I didn't pay
disconnected.
attention. I am disconnected to actual real life. I only know what's going on in fake life.
Yes.
In the video game world. So here we are.
Yes.
And what do we got this week, gentlemen?
I've got a whole boatload of really awesome indie games to talk about this week, about 5 of them.
Wow.
And then XBLA-wise, I want to touch back on Outland, as I've had a lot of chance to play that. And then Gatling Gears, which just came out this week, which I've
Brand
been
new.
very excited about. I think I mentioned it at the end of the last
You did.
show or something like that. Yeah, I was right.
plugged it.
I was right. It did come out in May.
And you were happy about it.
Very.
You were excited for it, and you were happy.
Demo-wise, I got a chance to play Red Faction Armageddon, and I got to play the Lego Pirates of the Caribbean demo, which you're going to talk about the game, is that right?
Yeah, I played the full game.
Awesome.
Or some of it.
And then disc-wise, I got to play some co-op for Portal 2. Quo.
Nice.
Status co-op.
Awesome. So
we-
we'll retouch on some.
Should we get into the bevy of games that I've got?
I don't know if we have time.
Sit back, everybody. Mostly just disc games. I played a little bit of the Thor and a little bit of Brink. I don't have much to talk about Brink, but Thor, I do have some good and bad.
Interesting.
I'm excited to hear the good.
No great.
No, great.
Not great.
I'm curious to hear the good.
Oh, I've got there's
Other
He
than
wasn't
just
even
your,
expecting that.
Other than just your blind love for Thor, or does that pretty much cover it?
See, that's why there should that's why
wait.
there should be a great in there.
Don't tell me yet, but I'm going to predict you can change the costumes.
Yeah?
Don't tell me yet.
Oh.
I'm trying to guess what the good things are.
Spoiler.
No, that's not one of them.
Now why are people
That's
gonna
not
listen?
That's not one of them. But yeah, that's what I got to play.
All right. I don't know that I have.
That's so sad.
I got nothing different. You guys covered all me, I think.
You should start next episode.
I know.
because
You
we
guys
get to
ruin
you, we get to
everything.
you, and you have nothing.
I'm usually the one that has a little bit of extra,
Yeah.
like on the disc wise.
Oh, that's true.
But now Sean's playing all these disc games.
Yeah.
all 2 of them.
That's true.
Well, I rented Pirates
Oh, okay.
But you didn't play it.
just so I can hold it for until I can
That's all
play
it's
it.
about. Half the time, sometimes when I rent stuff, it's like just me reserving it.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's like I'll get to Sunday and I haven't even touched it. I'm like, I'll re-rent it.
Yeah.
So you're
And then
that
there's like
dick.
some kid comes in and it's like, this game hasn't been in for like 3 fucking weeks. And I'm like, yeah, it cost me like $8.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So
What an asshole.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dicks.
I do it for the listeners.
Welcome to Dickcast.
Hey,
It has
that's
nothing to do with me. Dick Cast, that's terrible.
That's a terrible idea.
What's
And I would think
It's
it
the
would be
main-
terrible if you ever needed one. Right? I mean, that's not
It's
good.
the main podcast of Dick City. All right, can we talk about some games then?
I hope so.
You don't want to continue this part of the conversation? All right.
Dick casts. I'm thinking about dick crutches now.
Wow. Oh, I see.
Exactly.
You're going for a pun.
I am. Don't I always?
Let's talk about some indie games.
Yes.
All right, so first up, I have, I'll go through my 80-point games first. First of my 80-point games, Bird Assassin from Social Loner Studios. I don't think it's actually very new, but it appeared on most, or top downloaded or top rated or something like that. It kind of creeped in the back end of that, and I said, well, let me look at that. And an interesting cover art. So this is by Social Loner Studios, I said, and basically it's a side-scrolling shooter. You play this redneck hillbilly guy whose father gets killed by some birds. And so he vows vengeance against these birds. And so you go through each level just shooting various birds like pigeons and chickens and turkeys and things like that. And supposedly there's an ostrich in there somewhere. Anyway.
So he just goes like balls out, like I'm killing all birds.
Yes. Yeah.
Not just the ones that took out my dad.
Because there was like a whole posse of birds behind the ostrich that shot his dad.
Oh, okay.
In the opening cutscene.
Nice.
And it's pretty bloody. I mean, it's all cartoon style art and animated, but it's pretty bloody when you shoot the birds and they lie in a heap. And then when you finish the level, like it shows you pulling up to your trailer and your pickup truck with like the back of your truck is filled with dead birds, depending on how many you killed. Kind of like in Plants vs. Zombies.
Yeah, it's like a stack of zombies.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool.
And so then you earn money from that, and then you can go shopping at the gun store for gun upgrades and more powerful guns. And at first I looked at this and I'm like, I cannot see me thinking that this is awesome because it's incredibly violent, but it's actually insanely funny. Like as you're playing the levels, like the hillbilly dude will just throw out little interjections, just little sayings and things like that, and they just keep making me laugh. And when he jumps, he kind of does this little splits thing, and of course, he's got like the giant rotund belly and the tiny chicken legs underneath him, so that's even more hilarious. The opening scene is pretty hilarious. It's got voice acting, actually.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's got voice. Yeah, and so they could probably stand to use a mic upgrade, but it is full voice acting, and like I said, it's pretty hilarious. And the art is really nice, and the animation's pretty smooth, and the controls work rather well. And I liked upgrading the guns, and I got like a laser scope, so then like a small red beam kind of shot out, which made shooting pigeons a lot easier because a lot of pigeons will fly over you, and if you can shoot a lot of them, then you can make more money more easily. And so in spite of all this violence and me saying I cannot see me really getting into this, I actually have a lot of fun while playing it. I'm strongly considering picking it up.
And your father was killed by birds.
That's right.
So it's really a way for you to live out your dream.
Exactly, my vigilante justice. Because the people around here got tired of the dead Blue Jays. So doing it virtually is much more convenient for me.
It is. And your neighbors.
And, fewer Band-Aids for my hands. Because beaks, man, gotta watch out.
I hear you.
So yeah,
Don't touch birds.
so take a look at that one. It should still be on whether top downloaded, top rated. I can't remember which one, but that's the easiest.
Or
way.
we'll have the link in our
Easiest
show
way to
notes
find
too.
that.
Yeah.
Yes, and the link in the show notes. So, also for 80 points, I played some Dwarven Depths from Moonroof Studios, which is sort of a 2D side-scrolling digging game. So kind of like Dig Dug, kind of like Miner Dig Deep. And so you're a dwarf, and you're searching for gold and gems and fighting against monsters, and you can pick
Like
up,
they do.
and you can pick up power exactly. Tuesday night,
Dwarves, you know what they do.
you can pick up special items like ropes that will help you climb up, and a drill that will just keep digging down till it hits a rock, and that can go pretty far sometimes. And so you're collecting all this stuff, and you have to eventually you have a time limit, and then you're also taking the gold and stuff that you capture back up to the house because that's where it stores it. Because if you die while you're holding money that you haven't put away, then it just kind of lands in a heap where you were, and you have to go back and get it and all of that. So the point is to try and save up as much as possible. But the real deal here is that this has up to 4 players, sort of competitive co-op in a way.
Nice.
So you're all searching for things, but some of the power-ups then are also traps that you can lay. Some of the traps can bite you back a little bit, but most of the traps are really, I mean, they're really hidden, because you can go through, if you go through the tutorial, it kind of introduces you to all the traps, and that seemed really fun. It's got a great, I don't know if it's 8-bit or 16-bit, but it's got a great retro style to it. I really like the sound and the music choice. And it plays very quickly, and it's very fun, and it's really quite cool, actually. I can't remember if it had online co-op or not. I think I remember that it's only local, but
Okay.
but I was actually having fun just playing single player as well. It's it's not as cutthroat,
Sweet.
obviously, but
Yeah.
but that seemed really, really fun.
Cool.
And then my last 80-point game for this episode is The Last Pod Fighter, and
Love
I
that
could
title.
not figure out the studio. They didn't put like a placard at the beginning or
They
whatever.
hid it.
I looked in the credits. They gave people's names, but I guess they haven't given themselves like a company
Maybe.
name or something like that. Anyway, The Last Pod Fighter, 80 Microsoft points. And so basically it's a space shooter, 360 degrees moving around. And so the pod deal is that your ship has 4 pods on it, and as you shoot enemies, like, you collect different pods and they do different things. Some of them heal you and make you temporarily invincible. Some of them give you a speed boost. One is basically a homing rocket, and then there's one that you need to use. It's like a tactical nuke that you have to use against like the bosses in the area. And so, I mean, it's pretty standard in terms of just flying around 360 degrees, searching for enemies to shoot. It's got a nice targeting system in that it not only locks onto the target, so it'll put a box around the target that you're locked onto. Well, not locked onto, but that you're tracking. But it'll also put a diamond out at where you need to shoot in order to hit them.
Okay.
So, if they're strafing sideways and you actually need to shoot in front of them because they're way away, and so by the time your bullets get there, that's where it's going to hit.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's cool.
So
Yeah,
because
because-
it gives you the lead.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Which someone like me, who is really bad at those kinds of games, actually really, really needs. And it's got a very nice, vibrant, colored art style, and music was really good. The sounds were really good. It played really well. And it was just a lot of fun. If you like those sort of dogfighting type games, for 80 points, it's a real steal. And actually, I'm not going to talk about Star Raiders very much this week from XBLA, but it did remind me a lot of Star Raiders, because Star Raiders is also a 360 space shooter, essentially. But this is literally 1/10 of the price, and unlike Star Raiders, this one's actually quite fun. And
Which is probably why you're not going to talk about Star Raiders this week.
precisely. And it has text that you can read. That's another one up over Star Raiders instead of tiny text.
I missed out on a good one.
I think I deleted it, so I can't even show you after the show. Sorry, buddy.
That's all right.
But yeah, if you like those sorts of things, definitely check it out. And even if you're not very familiar with that sort of thing, check out The Last Pod Fighter.
I can throw in an 80-point game.
Okay, what's
if you
yours?
want to? I played, quote unquote, played.
Yeah.
Music Box.
Oh, right. I
from,
saw this thing.
Facetious Creations, and it is 80 points as well.
Good studio name.
Exactly. I'm in. And it's basically just a music maker.
A music maker, yeah.
In the demo, you can't save or load anything.
Sure.
Of course, you're just at a
Right.
limited time,
So
and
you
I think you can
experiment.
only use the instrumental parts, because I think there's like 8 different kinds of noise or music you can make, levels you can make. So you can only use the synth and the bass.
Oh, okay. So
and like a harp.
It's a limited sample.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And you basically go through this grid. It's a grid style. You put in the square that you want it to hit, and it's also on the scale. And you
Nice.
layer all these different sounds in, and it plays just a continuous loop. It's really well done. It's
Good.
very simplistic, of
Yeah.
course, but I was within, 30 seconds. Like, it sounded like I was making my own Mass Effect track.
Nice.
Because it's very synth heavy.
Right.
And it's very spacey sounding.
Right.
Which I
For the demo,
loved.
at least. Yeah.
Because you can't add any of the other stuff in. So I was laying like a bass track down that was pretty awesome, and then
Cool.
I laid the synth on top of that, and it was just sounding awesome. And you can change the tempos.
You do
can,
that shit, man.
I exactly. Yeah, right. Nobody wants to hear that.
What?
You can change the tempos for the track overall as it's repeating, but
Yeah.
you can also change specific settings for the specific instrument, so you can on the fly like manage okay, so for the baseline, I want this to be heavier or lighter in the background.
Oh, okay.
You can fade them in and out. You can add, I think you can change the pitch even on some of those on the fly. It's just really well done because that's all done on the side. Like you hit one of the arrow buttons and then control with your right stick. And it was just really simple and easy to do.
That's cool.
And I highly recommend checking it out if you're into like those kind of music making games. Quote unquote games, I guess.
Sure, yeah.
It's more of a tool, an application.
Yeah.
But
some of them can get pretty complex.
really well done. It seemed pretty basic, and everything was kind of just right there for you. And there wasn't, there was no need for a tutorial for the most part.
Oh, great.
And in fact, you hit the back button and there's a help thing, and it just gives you everything on there for the controller layout, and everything was really simple. So check it out. It was a lot of fun for me to just mess around with.
Awesome.
Only 80 points. That's pretty.
I like being able to save and load stuff too. And I wish that you could. I don't know how that stuff works, but I wish you could send stuff to people. Like, because I would be into it. Like, if I could make stuff and then send it. Yeah, that's true. I could just record it and put it on YouTube and go, look what I made.
And just say, you're welcome, would be the...
You're welcome.
You're welcome, volume 1.
Lame.
No, just turn off comments.
Exactly.
So moving into
You could do that?
moving into the 240 price range, the first one I want to talk about is Sequence from Iridium Studios. And so the way people have been talking about Sequence is basically it does for the rhythm genre what Puzzle Quest did for the puzzle game. And basically giving it a storied mode, experience points, and sort of stats and items that you're looking for, and you're running around battling things. So basically, the basic story is this dude who suddenly wakes up in this tower, and he's being forced basically to fight these monsters and get up through these 7 floors of the tower, and he has to collect items to create keys to get to the next floor and various other things. It's got full voice acting in it, and very good voice acting.
Really, pretty well done.
Yeah. Yeah,
nice.
This game to me, it operates. You talk about Puzzle Quest. It operates for me on the level of those quality kind of games.
Yeah,
that level.
Yeah, no, I often forget that it's that it's not it wasn't the XBLA release. Yeah. But yeah, great voice acting. Some funny dialogue. Sometimes is a little too clever for its own good, but that's my taste.
Yeah. I agree.
And I really like the art style too for the characters. They got kind of a fun. Not really. I don't want to say cartoony sort of feel.
It's very Puzzle Questy, where they're like the cutout almost of just the figure, and they'll like kind of slide into a pre-drawn background.
Yeah.
And then they'll like usually just move or turn the figure, like or have them change a little bit. But it's a pretty static image.
Right.
But they're really well done.
Yeah, I like them a lot. And then so basically the gameplay is your basic rhythm game where you have 4 different arrows, left, right, up, down, and arrows are coming down from the top, and you have to hit them when they line up with the symbol at the bottom. And so it's very similar to things like Dance Dance Revolution. It reminded me a lot of actually Bust a Groove. I don't know if you guys played that on the the PlayStation to PS1. Actually,
did not, but it reminds me of Boom Boom Rocket.
Boom Boom Rocket. Okay, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
it's for XBLA.
Yeah. Pretty much any sort of rhythm-based game or whatever.
It had the arrows and played the song.
And so you can activate the arrows with the colored buttons on the right side and with the D-pad. You have to kind of use both because occasionally you'll have combos of 2 arrows coming down at the same time, and so it's easiest to do that with 2 different hands. But the real trick here is that you have 3 different fields. So you have basically your spell field, which is where once you cast the spell using one of your right bumper button or using your right bumper button to choose a spell, those gems will come down and you have to hit them and they'll attack the monster. And then you also have the defense field. So when the monster's attacking you, you have to slide over to that using one of the triggers and sort of block the attacks by hitting it at the right time. And then there's the third field, which is the mana field, which you use to build up your mana, which you use to cast the spells. And so it's a careful balancing act as you bounce back and forth between the different fields.
Yeah, because you'll have the different fields, and you'll have the one in the middle and then the 2 on the sides.
Yes.
And there'll still be arrows falling down in there.
You can see them.
The mana one is, I like, it's really smartly done, I think.
Yeah.
The mana one always has arrows kind of falling down on it.
It's basically playing the song track.
Yeah, and you can switch over to it and pick up mana and get those, but you don't have to. There's no penalty for missing those.
No, none at all.
The spell one is only, like Craig said, when you want to cast your spell.
Right. But if you miss them, if you miss any of them in there, then your spell is burned and you've wasted that mana.
Exactly.
Ugh.
And then you just got to kind of keep an eye on your defense one, because those are basically damage that you're taking. So
Yes.
you switch over to that one. But it's really intimidating at first.
It is.
I thought it was a lot going on.
Yeah,
And there is
it looks
a ton
that way.
going on
There
in this
is,
game.
yeah.
Which is awesome.
Right.
I mean, if you look at it in the perspective of what you're getting for your price point at that
I was just about to say that you guys sure this is an indie game?
Exactly. That's what I felt like the entire time that I was
Yeah.
looking at it.
Wow.
Because I checked it out as well. And
Yeah.
Not to say anything bad about indie games.
No, it's
we got to put that.
but it definitely
disclaimer
is
in there.
operating on a different on a much higher level. It's just so polished.
Right.
And those fields, like at first I was like, oh man, this is a lot to take in. But when you realize you don't have to worry about the mono one until you need it,
Right.
And when you figure out that
And you can take some hits.
you can take some damage, definitely. And I was worried about, you have to hit the bumper button to activate your spell, but you have to make sure your spell, because you can have multiple spells,
Yeah.
and so you have to make sure with the stick that it's in the right spot, but it kind of stays where you put it last.
Yes,
so
it
if
does.
you leave it in the one spell that you were using to attack, you can just hit the bumper button and go at any time. And it's just, there's a lot of smart, convenient things done with it.
Very cool.
But at first it looked really intimidating.
It does
to me.
look really intimidating. And plus, I'm on the 7th floor now, and I've gotten to the point where I basically, even the monsters are still pretty badass because they increase in difficulty as you go through. But for the most part, I just kind of ignore the defense field and just take the hits, and then I'm just slinging spells as fast as I can, and then going back and building up mana. And if things get really hairy, then I cast this healing spell on myself. And move through that. So that simplifies it even more, which is good, because when you start off, you have like a couple 95 BPM songs, beats per minute songs, and like maybe 120 or something like that. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I can't remember, honestly.
Yeah. Right now I've got like 195 BPM and some 140s.
So are there just like arrows flying everywhere?
No, I mean
Are they still pretty separated out?
Yeah, it's still pretty. I'm playing on hard as opposed to there's one difficulty setting above it. Because I have a lot of experience with rhythm games, and so especially of this nature.
You're kind of like an expert.
Well, I wanted to see.
Joking.
I wanted to try it out just to see how hard. And you can change your difficulty setting up to the 3rd floor, and it reminds you when you get to the 3rd floor that this is your last chance to change your difficulty setting before it's
That's
locked
nice.
in. Yeah, that's
Cool.
nice. And yeah, there's just a lot of sophistication for it. The names of the objects and items are all hilarious.
Well, see, 'cause we haven't even got to that yet. There's that whole other level of, I went through that, and then you find out there's items and spells.
Yeah,
and
you can equip a weapon and
equip
armor
weapons.
and accessories.
Weird.
You can create potions and spell scrolls.
It's
and
nuts.
And then you have to perform, basically play a song in order to learn a spell. And there's a large emphasis on risk versus reward ratios. Like I mentioned before with casting a spell in combat, you can go over to defense, but then you're going to lose that mana.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the reasons I started ignoring defense, because there I'm only losing one thing. I'm just losing some hit points. If I ignore a spell, then I lose both the mana and the ability to do damage to my opponent.
Right.
So, but there's risk versus reward for pretty much everything, because you're earning experience points and you're leveling up and those sorts of things. But if you want to create objects or learn spells, you have to spend some of those experience points. And the thing is that it's not guaranteed that you're going to be successful. For example, when you're learning the spell, you have to play part of a song usually, or play the whole song and get a certain percentage right. And if you fail to do that, then you've wasted the experience points that you spent getting a chance to do it.
That's awesome.
But you can practice.
But I like
it
that.
gives you a practice option for the scroll.
That's
and then for
cool.
creating items, you have a ratio or a percentage of success. Starts at 50%, and you can only take it up to a maximum of 95%, so there's no guaranteed win. And of course, the higher the percentage, then the more experience points you have to spend on it. And so things that are level 1, you can go all the way up to 95 by spending 20 experience points, which is quite a bit in your first level.
Yeah.
But I'm at level 29 now, and so that it doesn't even register on the thing, like as to how much it goes down. But there are also items that have a difficulty of 45 or something like that. And so, if I want to pump it up even to 80%, it's going to knock me down an entire level or something, because you can lose your level spending it. And then that's not even guaranteed to work. And if it fails, then I have to try it again.
I like that.
And spend more experience points. Now, that sounds like maybe a little too much of a risk, but you're going to be fighting monsters a lot. So every monster has 3 items that they carry around, and at first you don't know what they are. They're just question marks, but they'll show you percentages for how likely it is you'll find that item at the end. And then, and so you're kind of trying to discover what the items are, and then you're trying to collect the items in order to create other items that you need. And let's see here.
There's a lot going on with this game.
Well, there's a lot of depth to it. Let's put it that way. There's a lot of depth to it.
Right.
Yeah. And I really like that a lot. And now some of them, man, because I spent the better part of an hour just trying to find out what this 9% item was on this one monster. And so this is the one shortcoming of it, because there are 3 monsters on each floor, and it's got a wide range of songs, but when you have basically 21 monsters in the entire game plus 7 guardians that you have to fight at the end of the level, there's a limited number of songs, and you're going to be playing songs over again. And then if you want to fight that same monster to try to get a different item or get more of that same item, you're going to be hearing that same song over and over and over and over and over again. And that can get a little tedious. Sometimes I wish the percentages were a little higher, not to make it easier, but just because my interest in a particular song was waning. Because the music's pretty good.
Yes.
I don't know Roland Jenkins, but
he's awesome.
Yeah, but based on comments I've seen on like Joystick and things like that, he's pretty well known.
Yeah. Is it? I think it's Ronald, isn't it?
Ronald. It might be Ronald.
Ronald Jenkins.
Ronald Jenkins.
He's awesome.
Yeah, well, I like his music a lot, and plus, DJ Playschool does a lot of the incidental stuff you'll find, but he'll occasionally have some songs in the battles, and those are really good too.
Yeah,
and you can also listen to all those in the main menu if you want to.
Man,
once you've unlocked it, I know all this for $3. It's like an enormous. There's
a lot to it.
An enormous game.
That sounds just awesome.
Yeah, I've put so many hours into it in the past week plus or something like that.
That's awesome.
And and like I said, I'm still not even done. But some of it's getting very difficult at this point. But
it's funny because too, the minute you start that game up, you know that it's on a whole different level. Like even the way that they do the intro,
right,
and the credits at the beginning, and it's like that this is a higher level game.
I should say for the demo, I like how with the demo they give you an upfront warning saying, hey, we've actually got a lot of story stuff and some tutorials at the beginning. You've only got 8 minutes.
You don't need it.
You can just skip past that and try it out, and you can save, and if you want, then you can come back and play from that save file and keep trying it out. I mean, I think
see how far you can go and how fast you can get.
Yeah, after the first floor, I think it caps off or something naturally. But yeah, I liked how they were very upfront about that and saying you might want to just skip all that stuff. I didn't. I went through it because I already had an idea of the gameplay, and so I wanted to kind of see the atmosphere of it, and that's what really sold it for me. But
cool.
Yeah, very cool stuff. Well done. Incredibly well done.
I'm glad to hear that because I just checked it out this week, so I'm going to probably end up buying it now.
Well, it hasn't been out that long. I think it just came out at the beginning of this week or something. Last weekend, maybe. Yeah.
I'm going to check it out.
And then the other 240-point game that I picked up, actually, is Blocks That Matter from Swing Swing Submarine. And this is a platforming puzzler, and it's got a adorable story going on in it. And basically the concept is you're a tiny robot called the Tetrobot, and you're running through these caverns and trying to get to a portal at the end of the cavern. And so you come across these blocks of matter, things like stone or
sand,
brick or sand or wood. And so you can break the blocks in one of 2 ways. You can either hit it from beneath two times, or you can use this little drill that comes out of the front of you and drill it, and then you absorb it. Now, you can't absorb every kind of block, so there's things like black obsidian, and then later on you encounter things like iron and copper blocks that you can't get through, and gem blocks. And I think, but you keep getting upgrades later, because I can now do metals, but I still can't do obsidian or things like that. But you absorb these blocks, and it keeps track of the blocks at the bottom. And there are 2 kinds of blocks. There are squared off blocks, and there are rounded blocks. Squared off blocks will kind of stay hanging in the air if you place them in the air, because I haven't talked about placing yet. I'm getting ahead of myself.
That's correct. This game is another one. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
this
please
is
do,
another one that's like XBLA level for me when I looked at it. Like, there's no question.
That opening title screen, I'm like,
I looked at this one and Sequence at the same, back to back, and I was like, holy shit, what is going on with? I mean, we talk about indie games every episode. but like these two in particular are like so far ahead.
I mean, all these games that I'm talking about have been really impressive. And
which is funny because we just had that that little spell there for a while that we weren't finding a ton of stuff.
Well, there wasn't a lot coming out.
And so now all of a sudden it's nice to see a little resurgence again.
Yeah, exactly. And so basically you collect these blocks, and once you have 4 blocks, you can go into a different mode by pressing the Y button, and it places this grid over the entire screen. And using the grid, you can set up a tetramino, which is basically a Tetris block. So you can place 4 blocks. They have to all be connected, touching a side. And one of them has to be touching some other surface. You can't just place one suspended in midair.
Okay.
And so that's where the different types of blocks come into play, because squared off blocks will continue to hang if you leave, like let's say you make 4 in a row for a ledge. Right. And the squared off blocks will just stay there. If it's a rounded block like sand, and there are other rounded blocks as well, then it'll kind of shake a little bit and then fall after a second. So you have to try and keep things under there. So that's kind of the puzzle aspect. And it's a great story, great art style.
Yeah,
great,
it looks great.
Great animation, great music, which you can listen to.
Awesome.
You can listen to in the menu, and the puzzles. I if you listen to the show, you know I love puzzle games, and this is a really good puzzle game. It is. It's really challenging, but it's again one of those puzzle games where you don't have pressure. You can take the time to think about it, and you have to.
You were stumped before we started.
I was. I still am.
It's probably going to make you nuts through the whole episode. That's all you're going to be thinking about
now. Thanks. And the game is great because it's a master of misdirection. So you get into the area, you take a quick glance in, and you're like, oh, I need to do this. And then you start to do that. And then a couple steps later, you're like, oh, I really didn't need to do that. And now I'm trapped. And so you really benefit by taking a little time. If you hold down the left trigger, you can move the screen around to see the entire map. And get an idea of what you're going to need to do, what kinds of blocks you're going to need to use. Because then in later levels, there are things like wood blocks burn if they touch lava or fire or something like that. And so you need to use that in order to get through areas.
I love it.
And you get upgrades, and it's the puzzles are really great. And like I said, it's very low pressure. And I really like that, especially for one that's this challenging. If there are like enemies shooting at me or something like that, I would probably be freaking out.
And there are things that can kill you if you get in the way of it,
yes,
like lava and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if you don't move, you can sit there and evaluate.
Right.
It's not anything that you're just walking around.
Yeah, there are enemies, but they just kind of move slowly back and forth.
Oh, okay.
And you can jump over them. And they do have a couple extra levels that are a little bit different. I'm not really going to get into that. I'll leave that as a surprise for people who play. Not the bonus levels, because there are also bonus levels.
Oh, okay. There's so much content.
But I'm saying it's a regular play level, but it changes up the style of what you're doing.
Very cool.
It's not exactly a puzzle level.
Awesome.
Let's put it that way. And but yeah, and then in each level there's also a collectible you can find, which is this treasure chest. The first one I found was awesome because I jumped through like this hole in the ceiling, and then I was walking off screen, Mario Brothers style.
Nice.
And then I finally came down into another room that had this treasure chest, and I'm like, score. And then you get that, and then it unlocks. Well, it kind of changes the level marker into well-known block that comes from some other video game. That first one I got actually was the Mario Brothers question block.
Very cool.
Question mark block.
Yeah.
But then those, as you collect those are the blocks that matter. And as you collect those unlock bonus levels, which are super challenging little puzzles that really require you to kind of think outside of the block. Sorry.
Take it. He has to take it.
And those, if I derailed myself.
If you guys didn't cancel the show after I did my pun earlier, then we can't cancel for that one. It's much better.
And so yeah, a really challenging puzzle game, really expertly well done,
cool.
And well worth the $3 in my opinion.
It looks great.
I thought you were playing it as we said when we got here, and it looked very cool. Again, I wasn't aware that was an indie game.
I know.
I didn't think it was.
And if you pay attention, there's lots of nice little touches. So whenever the Tetrabot jumps, there's this tiny little subtle electronic sound going on, and it just adds to this nice feel for it. And there's a funny story going on.
Very cool.
Yeah, very cool stuff.
Awesome.
Good week of XBLIG.
Yes.
2 weeks.
Of indie games.
I know. I wish I could say it.
I know.
XBLIG.
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 Exploit.
What's up with the XBlig this week?
What's up, XBlig? Is that it? Are we done for
That's
indie?
right. Yeah, so
Roll
now we can
on to
move on to XBLA.
XBLA. That one doesn't work. See?
Explig. That's exhibits. These are
I
like
don't know what you're
exhibits
talking about. This
kids
is
or something. Exploit and Explig.
Oh, that's right.
All right. Do you want to touch back on some Outland?
Yes.
Is that what you want to do?
Outland, because I had a chance to play it. I finally beat it.
Oh, and I was going to buy it and I didn't.
You can still buy it.
I suck. I know, but I wanted to buy it in between last week and now.
Oh, yes, that's right.
That
Yes,
didn't
you did
happen.
say that. So, yeah, you do suck.
I say everything all the time and I never do it.
No, I know. And I'm pretty sure on that episode I said you probably wouldn't do it.
But I will have you know, what I got yesterday in the mail was Clash of Heroes on the DS, like I said I was going to.
Oh, nice.
So,
Cool.
F you then. I'll be playing that on my DS.
Which will be very helpful for our
and
Xbox
I can't
podcast.
play any. I know, exactly.
Thank you. We appreciate that greatly.
I'm
your
terrible. I wish I would have brought it now to play.
Can I talk about Outland?
I guess I'm going to play my
So
game.
it becomes really, really challenging, and there's some really cool things in there. And what I found was I did beat it, and the key to the game really is remembering that it's at least 50% a puzzle game, because I would really get into the action platformer aspect of it, and I'd just be trying to barrel through. And really, especially in boss battles, it really benefits, again, to just kind of take a second, think of the pattern. Everything's got a pattern. Everything in the entire game's got a pattern. And if you pay attention to it and figure it out, then you can actually get through pretty well. But I would get impatient and start running, barreling through things. And
You try to solve everything with muscle, Craig.
I do. That is true.
It's one of your downfalls. Mr. Tough Guy.
And but still, it was just a really phenomenal sort of finish for it. And story wise it stays fairly cryptic throughout, but it does have a resolution at the end.
Cool.
And the different areas that you go to, because you start off in that jungle, later you go to like this underworld area, then there's like a city, and then you're up in the sky, and then the bosses are pretty incredible. You start off fighting a golem, which I think is in the demo. Later there's like a winged serpent that you're actually riding on as you're fighting it.
Wow.
And then of course you fight the sisters at the very end that you see in the very opening of the game.
Too late.
And yeah, I mean, really, this one was 10, right? 800 points? I believe so.
I think it was.
Man, it's really worth it if you dig platformers, and it's really one to not miss. But do remember that it's a puzzle game, at least in equal shares.
Gotcha.
And if you're in a part where you're really stuck, then just stop and try to figure out the puzzle. And once you figure that out, it'll probably be 20 times easier for you. That was my experience, at least.
And I saw you put a call out on our forums.
I did. I'm looking for some co-op, because I think you can play the regular game co-op, and then there are also co-op challenge rooms.
Gotcha.
Scattered throughout the entire place. And yeah, I don't even know what's in there because I can't get in.
You can't do it. You're not cool enough.
Exactly.
You got to rock the two controllers somehow.
No.
That sounds impossible on this
That'd be
game.
awesome if you could actually do that.
Speaking of that, did you guys hear the Ms. Explosion Man announcement?
No.
They announced a mode in Ms. Explosion Man. I'm not going to say what it's called, but basically you control two different Ms. Explosion Mans on one controller. It's kind of like
two Explosion Mans, one controller.
Yes, two girls, one controller.
Two girls,
because it was
controller.
abbreviated
Gotcha.
TG or 2G 1C. Yeah,
Gotcha.
And so it's kind of like there was that game you and I tried out on XBLA. Do you remember what I'm talking about? And it turned out to be kind of terrible. But we played co-op, but then you could also play by yourself, controlling two different things.
Oh God, what was that game?
Yeah, it started with an H, maybe.
I don't remember.
All I'm thinking of is Hexic now, but
And
it's
then
not
it's
that.
like it was like all irritating.
Yeah.
because we kept dying.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm done.
Well, at first we looked at it and we're like, this looks awesome. And then we tried playing for a while. And it's like, well, we
Heliotrope.
plateaued. Heliotrope. That's
Just
it.
stop being
It's
fun.
heliotrope. Yes.
No, I was just thinking about that the other day. It was something else that reminded me of
Yeah,
it. And
yeah.
I can't remember what the hell it's called.
Yeah,
We suck.
I think I saw it because I was looking through my achievements. And it's way at the far end of my
I had not seen
list.
that with Miss Explosion Man, though.
Yeah.
When did they announce
just
it?
today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just
I was
today.
totally disconnected today. So.
That's right. We heard about that.
I don't know.
I was disconnected.
But
I'm always disconnected.
It's funny. I work from home.
Mm-hmm.
I worked from home today, and on those days, I'm not on the computer at all. It's the days I'm at work that I don't want to do any of my work, so I'm nonstop on Twitter.
I know.
But then when I'm home, I'm like, well, I can read or play games.
No, it's the same thing. That's why I'm rarely on Twitter at night. Yeah. But
So I miss all the news.
did you have an XBLA game?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. So then I'm going to move
'Cause I suck.
right on to Gatling Gears.
But I'm probably going to check out Outland. I'm probably going to get that this week.
Okay. Do it. No, please do it.
I want to.
Yeah.
I'm stupid.
I'm getting it tonight.
No, you're not.
He's going over to a laundromat.
I'm gonna totally hardline it at Starbucks.
Gatling Gears from EA and Vanguard Studios, the people who made Greed Corp.
Yeah.
Like I said last episode, I've been very excited about this because I was a big fan of Greed Corp.
It's a different company name. I don't know if they changed or what, but it's the same people.
Yeah,
I
it is
know.
the same
So
people,
I don't know
yeah.
if they changed companies or.
I didn't go back to check.
Because it's like W or it was something else. It was,
okay.
It was some other thing, though. It was just weird. But I know it's the same people. So.
I have a poor memory, so. But it takes place in the same world as Greed Corp,
Yeah.
this Mistbound world, which is what they call it, which is this land where there are these warring factions, and there's this empire that's basically strip mining the world so much so that it crumbles away, and then there's nothing beneath it but this mist and whatever. And I like to think of Gatling Gears as essentially what happens on like a small scale when you play Greed Corp and you send the walker off to go fight go fight an enemy or something like that. And so it's completely different than Greed Corp. The theme, there are similar themes, but the game itself is completely different. It's not a board game. You're not worrying about knocking away land. Land will fall away, but that's mostly incidental stuff along the side. And it's a twin stick shooter. Twin stick shooter bullet hell is what I'll call it, actually.
Oh, really?
Particularly in the late levels. Yeah, it gets pretty intense, and that's what I love about this game. It reminds me, part of it because of the steampunk feel. It reminds me of Aqua. You remember Aqua?
Yeah.
But it's kind of like what Aqua is trying to be, but wasn't quite as successful at it. Aqua wasn't quite as successful at it, in my opinion. Gatling Gears is so engrossing and fun for me. It's also really what I wanted. The Battlefield's XBLA. I'm sorry. The Red Faction. Why did I come up with Battlefield? Oh, Red Faction. Battlefield.
Yeah.
The Red Faction XBLA game. Really, what I wanted it to be, because you're blowing up buildings. Things are exploding all over the place. When you fight bosses, there's like this huge explosion, and you have this cannon. You fire grenades. You're running around shooting your Gatling gun. You get power ups, and things are. Man, the grenade power up is insane. It's like a nuclear bomb goes off on the screen and like vaporizes like half the enemies.
Very cool.
You also have the shock bomb that literally kills every enemy on the screen, no matter how difficult they are. But you gain points at the end, and so it's good to save. Make sure you keep all your lives. If you keep the shock bomb, then you gain points, because those points, depending on how many points you have, then you gain experience points, and you can use those experience points for decorative things. But it's fun anyway. So it unlocks different skins for your walker, because you're walking around in a mech. I don't even think I talked about that. You're running around in like this steampunk mech. I'm getting so excited about this game.
You're
just taking off. I am.
I've heard good things, so it's you're falling in the same category.
And then there's also like special effects for them. One special effect was like flames shoot out of like the exhaust pipes. And then
This game's like totally aimed at me.
And then there's like a pet that will follow you around.
Yeah.
Although And I had these 3 ravens that would basically follow me around, but I had to switch them off simply because there are these tiny little flitting bot things that come at me, and so I would constantly think that the ravens that were following me were enemies attacking, and so I just spin around and start shooting at them. I'm sure they loved that. But the experience points, so the experience points are for these bonus things, but then you also collect gold bars around, and you spend those on upgrades, so you can upgrade the health, or basically the robustness of your mech, and the Gatling gun and the cannon and the grenade launcher. And what's great is that you can actually see the changes on it. Like it's a visible physical change on there. And basically you're just running around and trying your best to survive and blow up all the enemies as they come pouring at you. And visually it is spectacular. I think you and I were or you mentioned before the show how huge it was. One of the reasons you didn't really get to play much was because it was
because I was like, oh, I'll go check it out. Actually, today I finally got around to, because it came out a couple days ago. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I'll check it out. And I went to download it and I was like, oh, it's like 150 meg. So or gigabyte.
Yeah. It's a gig and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, I'll not check that out today, I guess.
And that's because it's graphically really, really, really impressive. Cool. Like I said, with all those explosions and things going on, the environment. And there's lots of little incidental things. I was going through a forest, and if I ran into a tree, that tree would fall over.
Very cool.
Little details like that all throughout. I've gotten to the last level, what I assume to be the last level of the game, based on the structure before. I'm understanding it to be the last level, and it is kicking my ass. It is like this huge gauntlet of like mega tanks and rocket launchers and like every shitstorm enemy coming out all at once at me, and I make it. I literally play for like maybe 10-15 minutes, and it's still not done, and then I die, and then I have to start over at the beginning, and it's like, ooh, it's grueling. So, but there is co-op. There's online and local co-op.
Nice.
And so I'm going to try that with co-op, and that will probably make it a lot easier.
I've heard the co-op's awesome.
Is it?
I've heard that. I've read that.
Well, the game is awesome, and I can't really see it being very different.
I've heard it's like so much fun in co-op, and even to the fact of like, I think that the thing I read talked about how you don't obstruct each other.
Oh, you can go through each other?
Well, and you move through each other, I believe is what the thing said too. So you don't get in the way.
Because I do get hung up on environment every once in a while. And in boss fights, once in a while I've gotten boss fights, I've gotten hung up on.
I don't know what they do. They might.
And the bosses are sweet. Oh, they're so cool. They're like huge, and they have like different modes and like different sorts of attacks, and they're totally awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm so in love with the game.
So
it's kicking my ass right now, but I still
this
love
weekend I'm going to check out the demo since I downloaded it finally today. It should be done by now, I would hope. And that's one that I might also want to jump into. So maybe we can do some co-op.
Oh, it's so good.
Since I've heard so many good things about it.
If you like twin stick shooters, this is a phenomenal twin stick.
So now, if people bought because this is a $15 game, it's 1,200 points.
1,200 points. Yeah.
Would you recommend people also, obviously, because you liked Greed Corp? But
I would recommend them buying Greed Corp so I can play against them.
I'll be
with
honest.
Them? Yes.
Not against them. That makes it sound like you just want to beat them.
Well,
I would recommend that they buy it because I'm superior and they should come play.
I've had all this practice,
and I will destroy them
over a year.
I would like to destroy people. So no, but that was as far as quality wise, it's same level.
Quality wise, yes.
Because I know you like that game a lot.
Quality wise, yes, but
it plays a lot different.
But they are completely different games, night and day. And so it's
that's kind of cool.
Yes,
that they're still within that same universe and idea, but they're like completely different geese, and not just them taking it and doing like a twist on it or something like that.
And I really like it. And I like the little story that's going on. It's got it playing along nicely with that whole strip mining thing, and the world falling away and dealing with this empire.
I really cool. I have a ton of respect for like the idea of that, of like, okay, well, here's a piece, and we can use this and fit it into the world and environment, but the game's completely different. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Cool.
It's like having a comic book and then you just make a world out of it. Man, I want to play this game.
Well, you played Thor. That's about the same, right?
No.
It's not the same.
That was the closest thing to Thor, but anyway, we'll get to that.
We will in just a moment, because we should talk about demos first.
Yes.
Yeah, and I can retouch back on, I got to play some Gears 3.
Oh, yes.
Nice.
Yeah,
beta. I guess that counts as a
Do you
demo.
want to do that first or the demo?
Sure, I'll do that first.
Okay, let's do that first. Since it's going to be it's going to be over by the time this show is out.
It is going to be over.
You missed your opportunity to play with Super
just
Pro.
checked it. Yeah, you missed quite an opportunity. Let me tell you. To throw your headset and go, who is this retard? It's me. I just checked it out today.
Yeah.
Because I was able to snag a code.
Because you were working at home.
I was working at home.
Air quotes there.
Yeah, I was working on my beta for Gears.
Beta dissertation.
I liked it a lot.
Good.
I really liked it.
All
I played so far, I'm going to play some more this weekend, but all I played so far was the deathmatch. I just got a little bit of time in with that today. I love the respawn.
Yeah.
I also haven't been reading any impressions from anybody, so I just kind of avoided all of it. I only know what you've told me, Sean.
Yeah. And we know what I think.
I love that whole respawn thing and like the number of lives, and then you get down to the last life for everybody. And you know, so if you have one loser on your team that keeps dying, hello, that's me. And he just uses all your lives up.
I know, that's me.
But I like the idea. You know, I think that's going to be awesome when it's out and we have a group of people that we can all just hang out and like make fun of the guy that keeps dying and wasting all our lives.
Which would be us.
It's going to be great.
I know you'll bring your own guy.
It'll be
You were not kidding.
Play the game with us.
You were not kidding about that whole like the stuff that they pop up, the leveling up, and like the stat stuff, because there's so many things it's tracking and so many things that are going towards unlocks, and then they have these badges that pop up of like, oh, you were in cover the most out of this round. You
shot the less,
so you can find out who the camper is.
That's me.
And pick on them.
I think that's one of them. I didn't get it, but I think that's one of them.
No, I love that they made a badge
died
for
the
that.
most.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, so it's very much. I love all those, and those are all bonus like experience points.
Yeah,
little badges that pop up. So I love that there's a whole bunch of those to get. So, you know, you want to get at least all of them, and it keeps track of how many times you've gotten each badge.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the round, not only do you get your normal experience points, but those are all worth experience points on top of that for little bonuses. So there's one round that I had like one or two of them, but then there was another round where I think I ended up being first at the end of the round, or at the end of the match. And so I had like 8 or 9 different badges that were popping up, and they were awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I was having a blast with it. Good. I think that the guys look definitely a lot different. They're not as blocky. They seem a little. They slimmed them down quite a bit.
Yeah, it's like they trimmed their armor a little bit.
Yeah,
because it's not as chunky and yeah.
They're not all like block style so much anymore.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really smooth. I enjoyed it a lot. I don't like the new shotgun, that really strong one.
I agree.
Oh man,
it's a brute beast.
It doesn't reload. It takes like 8 minutes to reload.
Yeah, but
that's because it annihilates everything.
It does.
It's in the way of
I mean, you turn it into pieces.
But I loved it. I like I said, I've only gotten to mess around with the deathmatch, but I want to play more this weekend.
I had a lot of fun with that deathmatch. Even I'm not a big fan of respawning, and I thought that it was done really well. The overhead map thing.
I like that it doesn't all hinge on one bad death.
Yeah.
And that's kind of always been not necessarily my problem, because I loved Gears 1 multiplayer, and some of our problems aside for 2, we still had fun with it on occasion. But it was always those one deaths where you had one shot at it, and if you screwed it up, then you're done and you're sitting out like a loser. And so I kind of like that there's a redeem quality to it, that you can like keep going until it's still a set number. But I just love that style. I like it a lot.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to playing more.
Awesome.
That's all I got.
Red Faction Armageddon. I know we've all been on pins and needles about.
I totally failed on this.
Yeah, well, that's understandable, Sean.
No, it's not.
So if you could just leave.
That's Jeremy's.
But nervous about the changes that they're making. Biggest change, of course, being that they're moving to the underground, so it's more enclosed spaces. So, Jeremy, your thoughts?
All of my worst fears were confirmed. I'm. It's rough. I mean, I still like I love Red Faction, but I was left with a bad taste in my mouth from the demo.
It's too bad.
I'm completely the opposite. Actually.
That's good.
I'm
glad for you.
All my apprehensions were dashed. As I got into that one huge cavern where there was like, the pipes and the scaffolding and things like that, I just was having fun messing around with that. And another thing that I liked a lot about it is that with Red Faction, it was all open, but there was huge amounts of area that you just had to kind of cross over in order to get to anything else. And so, Here, I mean, it's more enclosed, and some of the places aren't as open as that big cavern that I was talking about. But you get to other destructible things. I mean, you're basically almost always surrounded by something to be able to be destroyed.
Yeah, but it doesn't really serve. For the most part, I didn't find a lot of it serving any kind of purpose.
Really?
Yeah, that's some of it.
I had a different opinion, especially because of the magnet gun, which was my favorite toy. Well, what I would do is I would, those monster things would jump out at me, and so I'd just fire one end of the magnet gun on like the stairs above them, and then attach the other one to it, and all the stairs would come smashing down on top of them, and then I'd run past them, firing my nano forge and recreating the stairs as I run up them,
right.
And so it had a great fluidity to it. It probably won't have as big of things because you're not going to have. I mean, well, you might have huge buildings. You saw that town in the beginning. So
yeah, you might. I don't know. It's
impossible to say everything that's going to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for me, the taste that I got of it was just way too constricted. It was way too dark, and it was just way too small. For me, it felt like the areas were too small for the destruction to really have much impact. As far as I liked Red Faction and sitting like a mile away and disappearing the floor from dudes, watching them fall, or taking out a building and the whole building falls over.
Yeah.
There was a scale issue that was maybe the most impressive part of Red Faction to me, and it was that I'm taking out these the beams, and now this whole fucking 100-foot building is going to fall over and crush everybody.
No, I definitely
and
understand
that's
that.
Completely missing now.
Yeah,
and if it was there, I wouldn't be able to see it because it's so dark. And I feel
I don't have as much of a darkness problem.
I felt a little Dead Spacey, like it was you had the creatures coming at you, and so you're not dealing with people either. You have things that are jumping around on walls and shooting stuff at you.
Well, I got the impression you're going to have people to deal with as well.
Yeah, there will be people as well.
Yeah.
But what you see in the demo, what you get is just dealing with these creatures, and that kind of turned me off from the beginning as well. I mean, this was just my initial impression.
I mean, is there more of a reason to that?
Because that's not how I want to play that game. Like I played Dead Space.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I just felt that
I
the whole
don't.
time.
I'm trying to understand. I just really can't. I don't know. I guess that didn't faze me at all because, instead of having dudes shoot me from across the room, instead I had enemies that some of them shot at me, some of them had. I felt there was more variety, to be honest.
I think maybe it was just the feeling of being too constricted and too confined.
Sure.
Because it was right on top of you.
Yeah.
So it is definitely more visceral and like in front of you and in your face.
And I think that was what I liked, or one of the things I liked about it.
And what I loved about Red Faction was hanging back and tearing shit apart from a distance.
Yeah.
So
like shooting a rocket and watching the building.
Would you say it's more horror oriented in a sense, or is it in that genre?
No.
Oh.
Things are not jumping out at you. It's not trying to build tension music. It's got its epic music.
And
that's good.
And I guess I shouldn't say that because you make a good point. And saying Dead Space is maybe going to give the wrong impression because I don't mean like a horror game.
Yeah, sure.
I mean in the fact of like it's creatures and you're kind of just going through a set path that's like a tunnel. And you have a set path, and you can use your GPS thing that puts a little highlighted route out for you that tells you where to go. That's very Dead Space as well.
Well, that can actually be helpful, especially if you walk into a room, shoot the small black hole gun, and then you're like, oh wait, where am I supposed to go now?
Everything because
everything's just a pile of rubble.
Because you don't know what you blew up, so you blew up a whole thing of steps, but you didn't see them yet.
So
it's so dark.
That can show you, and I need to build some steps here.
I'm still going to play the game.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to run it. I went out and when I played the demo for Red Faction,
right.
I bought the game on release day.
And so
I'm not buying Armageddon on release day until I know more or see more or get to play a little bit more and experience it. We still are going to have multiplayer on top of this too.
Yeah.
So that's still there.
Right.
I don't know. It just I like always having the nanoforge. I like being able to basically the reconstructor that they now put on your arm.
Very cool.
So you always have it and don't have to go get a reconstructor.
You don't have to recharge it.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
I got to see when we came down to record pull list. I got to see Craig play a little bit. I liked the visuals of it. I thought like you guys were just saying, like the tools were really neat. I thought it was a little bit dark and like a little claustrophobic, but at the same time, when I look at Red Faction as a game, I made it out of. I still haven't gotten anywhere in Red Faction.
in the campaign.
I think I made it out of Dust or whatever the name.
you don't even
are.
care.
Yeah, Dust. Yeah.
Exactly. So like that part
That's awesome.
part of it I don't care about, and that was the thing because that demo when the first one came out or the Armageddon came out, it was a multiplayer demo. What I'm assuming wasn't
They
it?
they released 2 demos. One was a single player, one was
Okay.
a multiplayer.
And I played
I think the single player came out first.
It did,
Yeah.
and then when I played that and I saw that I could destroy everything I saw on the screen, then I was like, I'm buying this.
Yeah. But the multiplayer
And
won me over.
It's another
of
problem
the
that I have
demo.
with this game, though, is that that was one of my hooks for Guerrilla was that I could destroy everything I saw.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Right.
Yeah.
Other than a mountain.
Right,
In
right.
this, you're running through a tunnel where you can't destroy a lot
You're
of
in
stuff.
the mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the walls.
And one thing I was wondering is because the original Red Faction games, the destructibility was, you could shoot your gun into a wall and create like a little hidey place for you, so then you could jump in,
Right.
because it was a first-person shooter, jump
Yeah.
in there and wait for somebody to come by. And so I was wondering if they're going to have a modicum of rock destructibility, and maybe they even will. I mean, we haven't seen all the weapons
Exactly.
but I'm going to guess not.
I'm gonna guess, too.
that would be a lot. I think that would end up being a lot of programming and coding to have basically literally everything around
The
you be
walls of the
destructible.
game.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I'm gonna guess not. I just really hope that at some point you get a sledgehammer.
yeah,
'Cause
see,
you don't-
that was
you
also a
don't start
little
with one thing.
disappointing, too, because I love that.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you will. I remember seeing sledgehammers in like trailers or
I
something.
did like getting in the suit, because you get in the exosuit thing that they have.
I didn't even get that far in the demo.
Oh, really? So you get in the exosuit and then you can run around.
Yeah.
And it's basically got the oh God, I can't remember. It's been so long since we played it.
Aliens.
No, the backpack, the
Terminators.
Oh, the Rhino?
Rhino. Thank you.
Nice.
You help with nothing,
that concussion.
Use my game against me. I'll kill you. I will stab you in the face. Yeah, so it's basically got the Rhino pack on it, so you can hit your bumper button. I think it was one of the bumper buttons, and you Rhino through things.
Sure.
But then it had like machine gun and missiles, and you're just walking around in this indestructible suit,
Nice.
and tearing ass, and that was fun. But it was also still like it was kind of a mess because it was just so dark to me. I don't know what it is. It's just something.
Turn up the brightness when they
I
ask
might
you to
have
set it.
to.
Yeah.
I did actually a little bit. I normally do anyway because my TV tends to
Yeah.
be darker. And I did that, and it still was kind of dark and just kind of a mess. I don't
Turn
know.
up the lights.
I think I'm just not. I mean, the other one was just so bright. And
Yeah,
it
exactly.
Was open.
Oh, yeah,
It was.
And so you had
Yeah.
that
Certainly.
movement.
Yeah.
So I think that's my issue.
Yeah.
It's a hard curve. For
I
me
mean,
to
I
get around.
completely. It's almost a completely different game. I mean, there is a
Yeah.
lot of changes to it, but I still thought it was a fun game.
And I don't want to discourage them
and
from doing new.
if I had the money, I would be buying it day of. Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want to be down on them for doing a new game or
Right.
doing a new direction
Doing
because
something
that's how
else,
we
yeah.
got Guerrilla.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. True.
So who knows? As the game goes on, what it'll do. But my initial impression only strengthened my worries.
And it comes out at the beginning of June, right?
I think so.
Yeah, so we're probably not.
The
gonna
end of
get
the
a
game says
multiplayer
like
demo.
May 31st or whatever, but
They
I
pushed
think
it
that
back
they pushed
a week.
it back
Yeah,
a week.
I believe so. So yeah,
First week of
I was
June.
just wondering if we might get a multiplayer demo before, but probably not.
I know they're
come out
putting. I know
of
there's
release.
like everything else now. It's got like a horde mode in it. Essentially a horde mode.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they're still going to have the regular
Yeah.
verses
Yeah.
going on. There were upgrades too you could get in there, where you're upgrading your character,
Oh yeah.
getting experience points or something,
okay,
and then
sure.
you were spending those to increase some of your stuff.
Ooh.
You mean like
think.
upgrading? It's kind of similar to Gorilla
God, what was it? I
because
can't
you did
remember.
upgrades in Gorilla.
Yeah.
You could power up things.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I got to that station, but I couldn't do anything with it
Ah.
at the beginning of the demo.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I
don't
liked
know.
it. Yeah.
I'm definitely going to play it.
Yeah.
I just my purchase is still in question.
Well, that's all right
Yeah.
because you would probably just buy it and it would just sit there.
There it is.
I hate
You could just wait until you're actually ready to play it instead of feeling compelled to buy it right away.
Why wait
That's awesome.
when you could just have a pile of unplayed games? I'm not that bad. I only don't play the things on XBLA that I buy.
Wait, I thought you said you hadn't
I've
opened up
A
like
couple disc
Dead-
games. Let's.
A
Dead
couple.
Are we going to
Rising.
get into it?
No,
Again.
you were the one who continued. I was letting it go.
Can't we just let me alone?
No. All right. Okay. Let's get Sean involved in this show. Sean.
I've been enjoying the show.
Well, I got a couple things to recap on the
Oh.
disc games too, so I'm not going to pull you in there yet
That's fine. I'm just
Go back
I'm
to
just
sleep.
letting you guys know I'm here.
because I want to talk about Mortal Kombat real quick. One
Okay.
thing I think I forgot to mention when we talked about Mortal Kombat: how can you make a game in this day and age especially with the way that game saves its story mode, and not make skippable fucking cutscenes.
I wrote that down in my notes.
So did I, and I skipped over it.
Totally ignored it. Yeah,
even I skipped.
Yeah, that was one of my
notes.
biggest. Like, I was really enjoying the game. We talked about, and I think maybe your like for it and my like for it just kind of overshadowed.
Yeah, because then we talked about all the positive.
Yeah, exactly. But that was a really shitty thing about that game.
I know.
It blows me away.
I got home and I was like, I can't believe I didn't mention that. It was such a fucking problem.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Because first off, the story mode it was multiple hours long.
Yeah.
And they don't really give you any notification of where they're saving, even though they say there's going to be a symbol when it's saving. They don't have one on there. So at the beginning, I didn't really know when it was saving my story.
It's an invisible dragon that spins.
It's invisible. It's probably right.
I don't want to obstruct your view.
It's on fire.
So what it is every time that you're done with a fight, it saves. So if you, I would watch sometimes the next cutscene, and sometimes those cutscenes were 5 minutes long.
Yep.
And so you get to the next fight, and I'm like, oh, I'll stop and I'll pick it up here later. Yeah, you start next time, and it's at that beginning of that cutscene, and you got to watch the whole thing again. There's no way to skip it.
I hit every button, every button. And even the Xbox button. I'm like, well, I'll try that one out. Just maybe when I come back to it, the game, it pauses for you so you don't miss anything.
That's the other thing. I was like, well, at least some of them would, if you hit the Xbox button, it'll continue on.
Yeah.
Most games pause it, but I'm like, well, at least they could let it continue on so I could look at other stuff. Yeah. Maybe look at my achievements, do something for 5 minutes.
Listen to some music.
It was terrible. You can't even pause it.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah. I agree.
That's all I had to add.
I'm glad that
first world problems.
I'm totally glad that you were able to bring that.
My life is first world problems. Yeah, I'm glad that I remembered it so I could hate on it. But other than that, I love the game.
Awesome.
It's a really good game. Should we hit God of Thunder?
Unless Craig wants to talk about some Portal, we can revisit that. Or do you want to wait?
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
It's not going to be very long here. So Portal 2 co-op. I got to finish Portal 2. Did you end up?
I did. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very and
awesome.
And actually,
let's ruin everything.
It actually inspired me to go back and play the first Portal.
Me too. And then Sean stole my game.
And that first Portal is so minimal. It was so much bigger in my head. I mean, not to downplay it in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
But compared to Portal 2, it's phenomenal.
Portal became it grew and became an entity of above itself.
Right.
Afterwards.
And a lot of its creativity and originality was a big factor in that. And then, but even that gets trumped in Portal 2.
Yeah.
And I didn't really even understand the full breadth of that until I went back and played Portal 1. And it's still fun. I still had a good time playing Portal 1, but I'm like, wow, Portal 2 is amazing.
But at least 50 to 60% of Portal 1 is the fact of it being new and, the idea being brand new at that time.
Yeah.
And so then you kind of then appreciate Portal 2 more with everything that's doing, like you're saying.
I think they said something like that in the developers' commentary.
Did they? I didn't go through that yet.
Yeah,
so.
in the first room, because they were talking about how, that was one of their big things when they were creating Portal. It was just trying to create a new way to play and stuff like that. Yeah. And so for Portal 2, they had to come up with
you already have that
completely other ideas. Well, they even came up with new ways to play with the portals anyway. But not to get back into that stuff, because mostly what I wanted to talk about was the co-op, which you guys had a chance to play a little bit of, and then I had a chance to play through as well with the 2 different robots and the 4 portals going on, and really playing up the puzzle aspect. And it's a very different sort of puzzle aspect in a lot of respects. I found a lot of the puzzles, well, maybe especially in the second area, because the areas are kind of themed to each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the second area I think is called mass preservation and velocity, and so that's all about hurling yourself through things. And so you have 8 different rooms that involve doing that, and that going very quickly. And so that was very helpful for coming up with solutions for the puzzles. And I was playing with somebody who had gone through everything, so he could get the Professor Portal achievement. And but even he, it was Angry Salad. Even he was having some difficulty remembering everything, and so that was cool for me, because I was like, oh, we need to put something over here and then over here, and some of those were really head scratchers and really clever sorts of solutions that we had to come up with, and it. You wouldn't think that just adding a second player into the game, it would really change that much, but it becomes so different. And I think
Yeah.
I think part of it is just sharing that experience that you have playing single player Portal with somebody while you're doing it.
Yes.
And having them have a similar experience, although maybe slightly different,
Yeah.
as they're trying to figure out their half of the puzzle, essentially.
Yeah, I know it was fun when we were doing that night,
Yeah.
like as far as trying to figure that stuff out.
Yeah. And lots of humor things, and the humor is different. I like that it's a slight shift because it's not the same characters, but it is still in the same theme. You still kind of know the sorts of things to expect, and the level design's really great. I like how at the end of each basically zone they have one room that's very different than the others, and is usually a lot more challenging. But even the setting is different.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Because we only went through the first
two rooms or something.
No,
like
we
that?
went through the first section. That's
Okay,
the
you went
one.
through the first section.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, well, all right. And then at the end, you're kind of off the track, and you're in the offices behind.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at the end of that first section.
I don't remember.
Do you remember exploding at the end?
No.
Oh, maybe you guys didn't play all 8 rooms then.
Well,
I thought we did. I thought we went through the whole first section, then we went into 2 and did one of them, and then we stopped or whatever. But I don't know.
Well,
Maybe I just don't remember because it was like a million years ago now.
2 weeks ago.
Like,
And
I'm stupid.
well, yeah. Anyway, the last room is kind of the going behind the scenes, and you're off the track from Gladys, and so at the end she has to blow you up because she can't bring you back. She has no way to retrieve you, so
Oh, wait, yeah, I remember that.
So she violently disassembles
Yes,
you.
that's right.
And then you explode.
Yeah, I remember that.
But and so those are great because they add a lot of different elements in there with the offices, and the variety of different things that you have to do there. I liked that a lot.
Yeah.
Right. But
And you guys,
high-fiving.
you guys like the end of the game?
oh yeah,
I had like 2 jaw dropping.
jaw dropping. Wow.
Screw that.
Drawer dropping.
Drawer flopping flubblins.
Drawer drop.
My droid dropped on the floor, and my jaw followed. Yeah, there was like 2 times that I just was staring at the screen like, are you, what?
The game kept changing up so much.
Yeah.
With the first one, there's like a significant change up. Like there's that one point you hit and you're like, oh, and then
different.
and the whole game changes.
Yeah.
But here, there's like at least 4 or 5 moments where it does that to you, and it doesn't get old.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And it like when I was starting to kind of get used to some of the playing, they would just go, well, here's something else.
Yeah.
Try this on.
And I really like that there were more
Shoot
characters.
that.
Did I don't remember if I actually talked about that last
don't remember
episode,
either.
but having a sort of even the announcer guy,
Yeah.
at the front, having a few more voices in there. Don't get me wrong, I really liked just having GLaDOS in the first game, because that created a certain atmosphere. But you can tell they created this game with the idea that you've already played the first one, and so I think that's a great direction to take it.
Yeah, it definitely grew.
Yeah, in all directions.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It was cool.
All right, Sean. You've earned your right.
God of
You've
Thunder.
sat through all of this.
The Thor.
No, let's talk about Brink.
Let's talk really quick.
We're not gonna.
You want to talk about
actually,
Brink really quick?
Well, we're not gonna talk about Brink.
Like, really quick?
Here's you go. No, I'm.
I want to play it some more.
Yeah, you guys have only had it for like a day or 2.
This is the case. Well, I've had it a couple
you don't
days,
have,
but
you don't have internet yet.
I didn't get around to
exactly.
checking it out until today.
Yeah.
So I don't have anywhere near enough time to offer my point of view on it.
Yeah.
Without
Be
sounding like a dumbass.
It has an awesome menu.
And that's
would that be about the extent of your thing?
I don't know if I'd say it has an awesome menu. It's okay. I played a little bit of it, but if you want my opinion right now, it's just going to be that it's terrible, which I don't think that it's all terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that I think it has a steep learning curve.
Yeah.
And so I just need to get in and play with it. And it is largely concerned with being on multiplayer. So it is very predominant multiplayer experience. I think solo is going to be kind of lacking. So I need to actually jump on and play with other people too. So,
Yeah.
and I know that I have some people that I can.
Oh yeah, there's a lot on my friends list
grab,
that have been playing.
I got the 2 really good things I like about it is the customization of the characters. I absolutely thought that was fantastic. I love
course you
those
did.
menus. I thought they were very cool.
I agree with you.
Especially like when you level up.
Is there a button
it
for
gives-
smoking?
No, but that'd be.
I like the character design.
Yeah, I
Because
like.
everybody's kind of elongated.
Yep.
And I like the character design a lot.
Yeah, and you can choose faces, colors, creeds. It's awesome. The voices. I thought that was a good touch. But yeah, I'd like to try some multiplayer. I've only played the single player campaign, and I got to tell you right now,
Not so much.
Well, it's essentially
That's all I gotta say
It's
is,
essentially
oh, wow.
multiplayer with AI, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Player.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Because you're just doing like little missions that are like
the objectives.
objective missions, and
I've
there's
read some stuff about
There's
it.
really no solo campaign
Right.
for the most part.
And that's upsetting for me.
Yeah, we'll do some co-op.
It's a cool world they got going though. A lot of cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of neat things about this game, but I'm gonna give it some more. I'm gonna give it some more tries. More.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it
more
next
college
episode.
tries.
And if I hate it, I'll go off on it.
Yeah.
I ain't scared.
I'm ready to.
Are you reassuring the listeners?
Yeah, I'm just letting everybody know. Nobody bought me out, son.
Yeah. I'm on the brink.
Now
of
you're gonna like
ending
extra
it.
hate it. Like even if you try not to like it, well, now I got to say shit about it because otherwise,
Well, it was a lot of fun, but it was kind of a piece of shit.
I'm on the brink. But yeah, but I also
Save that for next.
I also tried out the God of Thunder of Thor
Thorness.
by Sega, and you know it's by Sega, which I there was a part of me that was really like excited.
was
after,
it basically Altered Beast?
No, I would have
wish.
rather had Altered Beast.
I like to call it Thor G-O-T.
G-O-T, small O.
Yeah. G-O-T.
But yeah, it was Thor. This takes place before the movie. One thing though, like I said, I really enjoyed
Correct.
the story.
That's a prequel.
I was digging the story because it's very Thor story, and I'm looking at it as a comic book nerd. As a game nerd, I didn't really care for it. The action was meh. The fighting it's meh. It's very the graphics kill this game. The graphics kill this game right off the bat. Camera is the worst. I said Hellboy was a bad camera.
Yeah.
This camera,
It's terrible.
It trumps Hellboy. That's not
terrible.
I fall off cliffs all the time.
Yeah.
But he flies back up. Hello. And I'm like, there's so many things about the game that I want to enjoy, and they're there. Like the just the different changing between wind, lightning, and groundwork on his hammer. I think that's fantastic. Calling in the lightning, it gets really pretty cool going on. Like it's weird how the effects are better than
That's really the only cool
everything
part of the game
else.
is his lightning attack.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And it's like all the character models are so blocky and like I don't know. I played what was it, Vanquish? Mm-hmm. That was a Sega game. I thought
that game looked great.
I thought that, and I'm like, sweet. But this game, it just things about it just don't. I mean, even the trolls and the big things you fight, because that's the whole thing. You fight big monsters and things like that.
I really wish they wouldn't synchronize these kinds of games with the movie release, because then there's always that hanging question: do they rush it out in order to get it out in that time frame?
Yeah,
right?
I don't know.
And I much prefer like a tie-in like this to have its own deal. So I like that it's a prequel.
Yeah,
and I like kind of that it fits in story-wise.
Yeah.
But
You didn't want
if
the
the gameplay
spoilers.
is not there, I didn't want the spoilers. If the gameplay is not there, then who cares anyway? No matter what it is about. And like you said, you enjoyed the story part of it.
Yeah.
I hate Thor in the story part of it.
You're
so
weak.
well, no. What I'm saying is
I know.
that so then the game was terrible, like play-wise. But then that's like the story was like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Thou shalt kill that frost giant. I don't care. Whatever, dude.
Oh.
And I didn't really care about his like elemental powers that he had. What was up with like his wind and like thunder? Like I understand the thunder and lightning, but is he using wind a lot? Does that happen regularly?
He's called down. He's called down the thunder, and usually wind comes with it. It's just like storm. Just like
powers.
storm. Yeah.
Oh, so he's Storm.
Essentially, no.
rather play
Storm's
Storm.
him.
You should get a mohawk.
Storm is him.
Claremont's like, we need another
Okay,
Thor,
gotcha. Right? And then
he-
her lightning and wind.
Exactly.
Okay.
Make
Well,
her a goddess.
You know, in addition to the camera, and this might fit in with the camera, but like targeting was a fucking pain in the ass. Like on your range attacks, you have range and close combat, obviously, because it's just a beat 'em up kind of game.
Yeah.
But for your range attacks, it was all right because you could. I noticed that it kind of just targeted people when you threw your hammer, and it was kind of natural as far as that went. You could do hammer attacks from range, which was kind of handy.
You would get people close. It would pretty much nail the person closest to
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
And it would go to the next one
Yeah.
pretty easily.
Oh, yeah.
But like doing my magic attacks at range was terrible. Like it was just like I was doing that one where you hit the ground and it would like send like shockwaves
Yeah.
or whatever. And it would not get anywhere near people. Like I would do it, and they'd be moving around and whatever. And I'm just like standing there like
gotta
a retard.
anticipate.
I guess there was no lead diamond for me.
Well, that's the thing I felt about the game when I tried to pull back and play like that way or
Yeah.
play smart. If I was getting hammered by these ice giants like
Yeah.
big time, I would try to play that way, and I'm like, I can't. So
It didn't pay
you
to it.
Got to go in the mix, and then he falls, and it's just like, ugh. And that was the thing. I was digging on what they were doing, but it's like once I made it out of the first realm, it's like a part of me just I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
And I was digging the story, but I was like, do I have to put up with more bad graphics
Yes.
and more bad people looking bad?
It's just not. It wasn't fun at all. Like I couldn't continue with it.
Yeah.
I played like the first couple of levels, and I was like, "This is it. I'm done." Like this is what it's going to be like continuously. I can't do it because it's just irritating.
How does it compare to Terminator Salvation?
I would rather play Terminator Salvation. I think.
That was kind of the
And
impression I
I'd
was getting
rather
there.
play Thor.
because I know that would at least be done in 2 hours.
See, and that's
And 11 achievements.
and that's what killed me about Thor, and what almost put it just I'm returning it today instead of re-renting it, and it's the fact that I'm like I don't care anymore,
Yeah.
and it's like I don't want to sit through 8 other realms
I know.
of this.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like I knew at that point, you know that it's not going to go anywhere
Yeah.
different.
And I know what's going to happen because the movie
Cut your losses.
the movie came out, and all the people that were in the game that perished or sick, they're better in the movie, so it all works out. Not that I've seen the movie, but I've seen
Spoilers.
the trailers, and they're all there, so
Right.
it all works out.
Right. So you don't need to worry.
Yeah, exactly.
If Sif's going to make it.
Exactly.
She's
But
going to make it.
if Odin wakes up, and like those,
he wakes up.
those were some cool, like that stuff at the very beginning, like that stuff. I was like, this is cool. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm ready, and then I'm like, I gotta fight these guys.
And then how about the fact that you don't, and maybe this is a blessing because I played Iron Man, which was, I fucking
Right.
hated as well.
Right.
But you don't get to fly around. Like,
Yeah.
how they have it is that when you need to go to certain areas, you go to the edge and there's like a little circle there or
Yeah.
like a glowing thing, and you hit a button and he flies over to it.
Sure.
And that's
Well,
really
you
the
try.
extent. Well, okay.
I had multiple problems where he's just standing there looking at it, and I'm like hitting my right bumper, and he's just staring. I'm like,
There's a.
Thor in the movie doesn't really fly. I mean, it's the hammer
Yeah, yeah.
propulsion.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
he's hurling himself across areas,
Yeah,
essentially.
so he
right.
should be able to hurl himself everywhere he wants to go, not just at these little circles.
How fun would that be? Whoa, shit.
Not only
Wrong
to
direction.
Not only mentioned the terrible camera, but responsiveness too is
Oh,
just bad. So there's like no detection sometimes when you're like hitting people, or like they'll hit you and they're like not even by you, or you're like not by them, but you're hitting.
sounds like
or,
winner.
Yeah, it's totally a winner. And it's
Yeah.
like you'll hit the button like as many times as you need to, but it won't finish the combo. It like stops. It's just like there's so many control problems on top of like the presentation problems.
They're like, hit 7 X's and then Y, and you're gonna get this awesome thing. And I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then he just goes, wee.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense because they stagger those on a button mashing game,
Yeah.
which there's really no way you can get that stuff anyway.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
So, there's a whole other level of like you can get upgrades in the game and you can upgrade your abilities
Yeah.
and your health and all that other stuff, but there's really no point in even getting into it because it's not playable anyway,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
It's like people want to sit down and just bite their, tongue or the side of the cheek to feel something.
If you're into self-flagellation and are looking for something new,
Oh boy.
If you're looking just to be like aggravated, because I fell off this cliff like 2 different times because they showed a circle, so I'm like, well, maybe I'm not in range, but then the camera changed right when I'm at the cliff, and then he fell off, and it takes a little bit of life, but to me, that's a little bit of life I need.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Real life.
plus it's frustrating.
It is.
And I'd hate to see this game in 3D.
Oh yeah, that's right. It is have 3D capable, isn't
Oh, well, I'm glad they spent the time working on that.
it? They should have. They did that instead of fixing the fucking camera.
Obviously, they had all this extra time lying around.
I'd hate to see it in 3D. Maybe that's why the characters
awesome
look the
camera.
way they
Maybe,
do.
maybe you wouldn't
How
fall
about
off so
that?
many cliffs.
How about that first big boss battle? The first big boss battle that you have to fight the guy,
And I'm confused of what to do.
Yeah, because they don't really tell you. You have to hit him, and then it's like, oh, then he has these. He's stunned, so you hit a button, and then you jump up, and they're like, oh, hit an arrow over here, and go over and start beating on his arm.
Yeah, I went around all the way around him like once, and then I realized, oh, so I just go to a certain spot and hit, and then I can move. Once I got the hang of it against some of the bigger like ice giants and trolls, it was a little bit better because you can go over to the shoulder, hit, go to the chest, hit, and then go to the other shoulder, hit, or you can sit there and spam.
Oh, really?
Spam.
You can move around on there?
Exactly.
I didn't know that.
Well, I didn't know it until I did it once, and I'm like, I was hitting, and then I accidentally hit the button to go over, and I'm like, oh crap, I didn't finish beating him up. I'm like, oh wait, I can hit his chest, and that changed a little bit for me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, well, that would have been very helpful.
I found that I could just stand by his feet, and all his attacks missed me.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
Very
So I
cool.
would beat him in the feet with like my attack thing, and then he would do his rush thing, and it would just like zoom past me, and I would walk up and stand by his feet again, and he'd do like the stomp thing, or his hit the ground or whatever, and it would like miss me, and then he would shoot these things off of him, and they would go in front of me, and they would miss me. So I would just keep punching him until he stunned, and then I was like, well, this is great.
They have a nice little counter thing in there too when it works too. That's awesome.
Which one?
The counter when you can you throw up a shield and you
because you can defend.
You can defend, and then it's awesome. So then you counter right after. But the only time that I was able to defend is when people were shooting things at me. If they came up, I would wait purposely, and I'm like, okay, they're about to hit. So then I'd pull it up, and like sometimes him swinging that hammer would wait. So then you get hit during that time, and it's like,
exactly.
How can you do this? How can you?
It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, you mean like just idle animations?
Yeah, it was just an animation of him spinning the hammer up, even though you're hitting the button.
Yeah.
So he'd go to spin, you'd still get hit.
I've
and you're
experienced a few games that do stuff like that. That's very frustrating.
Were they fun?
No.
and that's what this game does.
You should play Thor.
I wanted to enjoy it.
G-O-T.
I didn't think I was going to like the game, but I didn't know I was going to dislike it this much. But they do have awesome quotes, like Thor quotes, and then it shows the comic book that it was quoted in.
See, and I hate that. And I hate how he talks like an idiot.
Oh,
do they have him talk weird?
Verily.
He doesn't talk much in the game.
He doesn't. It's Loki that does most of the talking. And I love
that. Didn't happen in the movie. It must be something that happens in their past. They got over that.
Yeah, there you go.
That was a fad.
That's the end of the game, probably.
They're all like,
Ragnarok.
What the fuck are you saying?
I'm just saying this, dude.
And he just takes chew out of his mouth, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. What were we talking about?" Okay.
He puts down his copy of a Shakespeare script. Oh,
Yeah.
well, we're done practicing that.
Exactly. How about some Lego Pirates? Let's
bad.
not talk about Thor anymore.
And I should have played this game, and I'm pissed off that I did not play this game at all. But I'm gonna.
I wish there wasn't another Lego game already like a month or two after the last one. They should have maybe laid some more time in between.
Yeah.
Because especially you went to Harry Potter, then to Star Wars, and now you'd be expected to do this one right away.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to get to it right away.
You have to.
Oh my god.
No. You played the demo.
Yes. Yeah.
And I got the game, so I'm playing. I played the first movie, is what I finished so far,
and I like it a lot. And
it's awesome.
And I think having a stronger story structure, I think that's really what was lacking from Lego Star Wars 3
I agree
because it's it was based on that episodic sort of story.
Yeah.
And if I was more familiar with the cartoon, that would probably make a lot more sense to me. But
I don't know.
This feels more push narrative.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much more like the Harry Potter kind of felt for me. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it was because it'd been so long since I played a Lego game.
Sure.
When I played the last Star Wars one, and maybe I was kind of blinded to that because when I played this one, it is so much more fun.
It's a lot of fun, and it's much brighter because you're in the tropics.
Maybe it's that I care about the story more too.
Yeah.
Why would you care
I'm not really
about
invested
Pirates
in
of the Caribbean?
Well, I don't know, because the characters
Were you
have
more
their own
familiar with it?
Yeah, I think that's it. Maybe it was the
you've seen the
familiarity,
movies.
not with the not caring about.
There
it
you go.
more.
Right.
Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. You were wounded. You were wounded.
I like the special abilities. I like how Jack Sparrow has that compass thing, which is something completely new. So basically, you can bring up his compass wheel, and if there are special items in the area, they'll show up on there. And then you'll have to follow his footsteps, which can be hilarious if like you walk into an area where enemies are attacking, like where there are enemies there,
and he's just stumbling through.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, great characterization for him. He he stands out against the other Lego characters so much. Just all the little body language that he does,
and he's stumbling half the time, and he's got like the whole like stagger.
When he runs, he has like his arms
like he's gonna fall
flinging
over.
around like he's a rag doll or something.
It's really awesome.
It's really good.
Very cool.
But then anyway, the compass will lead you to an area, and you'll uncover this special item, and sometimes that will get you some of the mini kits. Sometimes that will just be fun stuff, and that's part of completing it as well. It's yet another thing added in there.
Yeah, you have to get like all 8 of the things. You can't do them all at the beginning, but there's 8 things on each level. You can
go through in free play. Even in the demo, I think you get. I got 7. I think I missed one. I wasn't sure,
but yeah. So that's another gold brick, is having to get all 8 of his hidden things in one of them, in each level. Like I said, I finished the first movie. I guess I didn't know that it had all 4 movies on there, since the 4th one's not out yet.
I had heard that. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Spoiler.
I like that.
I don't, because I don't like spoilers.
I'm not going to see the fourth one.
However, I haven't seen the 3rd one either, so because I kind of gave up after 2.
It's better than the second one. It's better than
That's right.
the second one.
We saw. Yeah,
it's
a
lot
like,
better.
Oh, guess what? You have to see a 3rd movie. It's like. Oh, thanks, Dick.
Thanks, Dick.
Why don't you give me some finality on this one? Then maybe.
Also,
I'll say.
don't really want to see another one after this one.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
thanks, guys. But no, like when I played Harry Potter, this makes me want to actually go watch them again.
Cool.
Because there is quite a narrative that they can't deliver. I mean, the Harry Potter ran into the same problem. There's so much going on that there's never going to be
far less sophisticated.
There's no vocalization, so you're not going to ever be able to carry the story over.
Although there is more here, I think, because wasn't Lego Harry Potter basically just like ooh, ooh? It was like all variations on ooh.
Yeah.
But this is like SimSpeak.
A little bit, yeah. There's some of that, but there's no like actual voice acting.
No,
so there's not anything to tell a story other than the pictures. And some of those stories get so convoluted that I don't know how they're going to explain like anything in the second movie.
Yeah.
And then
At all.
And then beyond that,
I want someone to explain the second movie to me.
So I don't know how tight that stuff's going to be, but the levels are still a lot of fun, and I'm having a great time with it. I don't think they've done that character wheel before, have they? Because now. In one of the levels I was in, you had a character wheel that if you held Y, you could choose between 8 different people to play in a level. So in the second stage of the first,
I think that was in Harry Potter.
Was it? Okay, I couldn't remember. So it's been so long.
No, I'm
since
thinking
I
of the
played
spell wheel. The spells were on a wheel if you held down Y.
This is essentially that, but for characters.
Right, because,
And in the second level, you get like 5 guys. So you have like a whole group running around with you.
So you're running with bigger posses.
So it's easier to select people instead of having to hit Y 400 times and keep bouncing between the dog and somebody.
Especially if you're looking in slightly the wrong direction, so you jump to somebody else.
So you hold Y and it pops up the little 8-person menu, and you can select any of them.
Yeah.
And also when you're doing free play, you can hold Y, and it brings up the entire 60-some character thing, and you can select any of them on that from there, which is awesome because it gives you, you can cycle through the ones you need,
right?
But also there's some that maybe you just want to go to, Like on the first level, it wasn't giving me a guy with a gun. So I had to hold down the Y, and then it brought up my whole list of characters, and I could choose the guy with the gun.
Was this on free play or regular play?
On free play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, on regular play?
No, on free play.
What?
So that I like that aspect of it too, and I like not having 4,000 characters so that it took up my entire screen,
60,
like from Star Wars.
60 is a good number.
If that's what it is, I can't remember.
No, it is. I remember it. I remember that because
and
I'm
it was
like
4,003.
It's like a third of Harry Potter.
And that Star Wars, that last Star Wars was stupid.
It was huge.
You couldn't even see anything when they popped up.
It's huge. Did I mention when I talked about Star Wars that you were correct that you cannot target?
Probably not.
The Force stuff, which
you don't give me any credit.
Fucking asinine.
I know, it's terrible.
Considering they did that in Harry Potter, which has an ability that is almost exactly like the Force.
I know it's terrible.
But targeting is back here, at least for characters with range.
Yes.
Not everyone can target because not everyone has a need to target.
No, but they do. I noticed a lot more levels where they're giving you range weapons.
Yes.
So that happened throughout a couple levels where they would have the range weapons to show up.
Oh, something you pick up?
You pick up and then it can reuse.
I think that's new, isn't it?
There's a lot of stuff that you're picking up. I really like the puzzles in this game.
Cool.
It seems like they went a lot more. I mean, they're still the same Lego things that are in every game.
Oh yeah.
But it seems like the puzzles have been a lot more fun so far for me. And I think it has to do with this compass thing because that's part of the new thing where you got to go find pieces of things.
Yeah.
But there's also these other things where you're moving light around. There's like a beam of light coming in, and you're reflecting it off of these like saucer things. And in one of the levels, it went to like 8 different places. You had to bounce
Indiana Jones or something.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Nice.
So it melds a little of that in too.
That's cool.
I've had a lot of fun with it. It was a blast, and I found also maybe that the levels seem a little shorter because some of the ones in the last Star Wars ones were way too long.
Or they're at least broken into smaller segments.
Yes.
I found that in the
might be
demo because, you would go into different areas and stuff.
And some of those,
I agree,
Star Wars ones just went on and on and on.
Yeah.
And I swear some of them felt like they were an hour long.
They weren't.
I know, but they felt like it. These are a lot more bite-sized, which I like.
Cool.
And maybe it's just because it's a more fun environment for me.
It's
so
brighter. It's not
quicker.
all technology. Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
That could be.
Although I will say, and I hate to use this language when we're talking about a Lego game, but fuck the odd number achievements.
Nice.
Because let me tell you how they do it. You play the first stage.
That's right. I said fucking asinine a little while
First
ago.
level. And, well, I feel bad for mine, so that's the difference between us.
That's not how you talk to the kids.
You kids are fucking asinine. I do say
That's
to
my
kids.
greeting.
That's true. The first level, the first stage you complete, you get a 12-point achievement.
That's awesome.
So I'm like, well, that's great. What's the thing to offset this? And I look at it, and it's 12 points, and then the thing to offset it is 88 points, and that is getting 888,888,888 studs.
Good luck.
So I go, well, obviously I'm a cheater all the time, and I go get those red brick things right away, right?
Yeah.
And turn them, and use the codes and turn them on. They haven't released them.
Or you mean nobody's listed them yet?
Nobody's got them because they haven't put them out. They have them for characters, but they don't have them for the red bricks. So guess who gets to old school it? Me. And I get to go through and...
You should check again, because probably by now somebody's already figured it out.
I've checked today.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
No deal?
No.
So
So I'm kind of pissed because now I got to do it the old way and I got to build up all... Because I can't have that odd number.
I know.
So I got to build up my studs, and then I got to find the red bricks that give me the multipliers for the studs so I can get them, like, quick.
Right.
And so it's taking forever. I love it, though, kind of.
Are you going to have to get exactly that number?
I will tell you...
I need a 4.
I don't think you have to get exactly that number. I'll punch you. Don't do that. So I got the 2 times today. So I need to get...
You're on your way.
Yeah, you're halfway there.
Shut up. No, I'm not. It goes up to 10 times. I got 4, 6, 8, and 10 to get.
Look, all you got to do is find the red brick detector. How hard is that?
Well, the problem is I know where
Get the
bricks
red
are.
brick detector.
The problem is
you
you
gotta find it.
I know,
No.
it'll make it a lot easier
No,
to find
listen,
the red brick detector.
But I've got that one.
You got it?
But the problem is that I have to. It's getting the money to buy those because the first one was 500,000, and they go up to like 2.5 million.
No, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, there is a huge gap in
You
Lego
guys understand
Star
how
Wars
much of
3.
a problem this is.
I guess.
I think you guys aren't taking it seriously.
I think
Looks
it's
like you'll be
hilarious.
red in this one for a while.
But at the same time, as irritated as I was, I kind of like that they forced me to play it the real way
Yeah.
because it feels a little more fulfilling.
I didn't
now
realize
that
you never did that.
Yeah, I said it last time that I cheat
Yeah.
every time because there's no penalty for doing it, and because I don't want to sit there and take 4 hours to get all my studs. I want to not have to worry about getting that the 100%.
I guess I like it because sometimes they're well hidden. Although with Lego Star Wars 3,
But I got
some
tired
of those
of
were in the battlefield ones.
Yeah.
Because the red brick detector would just be pointing to this space out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, how the fuck do I get that?
Well, it's not so much that
It would be
it's
something I start clear across the field or
the
something.
stud multiplier is my thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have to worry about getting the true Jedi thing or the getting the stud.
Do these things keep you up at night?
No, what
True
I'm saying
pirate.
is that I can then do it and then get through the level and have fun with it instead of having to get every little thing that's in the level.
Oh, yeah.
And that gets old
I guess
after a
I
while.
usually find that I automatically get the true whatever when I play through on free play afterwards.
I like just trash.
Yeah, but I like to get it done now. That's my problem. It's my impatience. It's my
Yeah.
problem.
I know. That's why I was calling you out on.
I hate you guys.
Why am I included? I just played a shitty game called Thor and Brink.
You had a good 2-week session, right?
And I left freaking pirates just sitting there.
In the demo, we
It was
still have
gold,
it.
baby.
Now you get
I
to
know,
go
I
play
do.
it.
And I'm just going to sit down and play it all. And
In the demo, did they have any of the cutscenes that are like the puppets, like the theater little thing?
No.
Okay, so there's in addition,
I don't know what it is, but it sounds awesome.
right? So they've never done any kind of different animation style for the games that I'm aware of. It's always just been the
No,
Lego figures.
no, yeah, always.
In this, they almost have these like theater moments, and they did it during a dream or a flashback sequence and everything. And it's like it's almost like drawn cartoon or drawn art style. And it's little figures on like sticks, and they're like going around in these little like areas or like these stage setups.
great.
And so that's how they tell like the whole backstory of like them getting the curse and everything. And it's all done with that. And it's like,
very cool.
and the loading scenes have it too, where like the guy that Jack's fighting in the first one, what's his name? the bad captain guy. I can't remember his name.
Captain Fishface.
Yes, that's it. I can't remember.
Barnaby Jones.
Captain Jeffrey Rush is following him around.
There you go.
So it's like they're chasing him around the ship.
Graybeard.
And it's very funny and it's cute. I like it a lot.
I also like the sword play.
Yeah.
In the extended scenes, when you had a boss battle or something like that, much more dynamic than just running up and bashing something once.
I agree. It's fun. At the end of the first movie, like I love the way that they do that little boss battle at the end. It's not super difficult, but it's really well done, and there's kind of a little puzzle element to it. You got to get them in certain areas.
They've really upped the presentation.
I agree.
In this one,
and the music.
Yeah,
it's all the original score from the movies
that they
use for the entire game.
Very strong,
and that stuff is awesome sounding.
See, I like the stuff from Clone Wars. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I like the music from it. I dig that music.
It had good music.
Yeah,
it
just seems like their Lego games are killing.
It's right on because they have licensing.
They have the new engine and
they have the licensing, so they can pull in the actual music and use it from the source. And so, like when you're having a Lego battle and you're like being chased, and they play like his music when he's running away, stuff from the movie. It like just adds that much more to it, and you're playing a Lego game. Seriously. I'm sure everybody hates our Lego love.
I want Lego Gears of War.
I love all the Lego games.
Lego Gears of War.
Hell yeah. That'd be awesome. They got Gears
I'm
of War.
in.
Hero
Let's do it.
Seriously.
Is that it? Are we done?
Yes.
All right.
Totally gonna have my Dom fight apocalypse.
Oh my god.
SignedInPodcast.com, our website. You can find a link to our Facebook fan page, for all of our fake fans. Twitter, for me talking about a bunch of dumb bullshit.
Where do the real fans go?
That's a secret. The real fans already know where to go.
That's right. They were initiated.
They already know. Grandfathered in. A link to our forums, all the other pseudo radio shows, Pull List, Podcast, and 3 Die Block. Check out those shows as well.
Yeah.
And you can email us anytime at comments@signedinpodcast.com. I forgot to check and see if we got any emails. I'm sure we got like thousands.
Oh, yeah.
And I totally forgot to check it before the show. So, sorry, everybody.
All that lottery money you're missing out on.
Some guy, Prince wrote us. And if you find us on iTunes, please leave us a rating. You don't even have to leave it. We're not even asking for reviews anymore. Just click a star rating. Just do it, please. And we've been doing really well in the last couple of months. So thanks to everybody who's checking out the show, because our last couple of weeks have been the most impressive weeks we've had since we started doing the show.
Oh,
so
awesome.
I don't think I even shared that with you guys, but
no.
There you go. Now you know.
Man.
It's been awesome. I don't know where it's been coming from.
The listeners learned it before us.
They did at the same time.
Kind of.
Well, still,
technically,
I'm gonna.
They're not.
I'm gonna let somebody know about it.
This isn't live, so you do know about it first.
Yeah, I
like
know.
Craig just said. So you're good.
I felt like a listener to the whole show, though. That will all change next show. I promise.
Yeah.
I promise the listeners for me to mumble about some about some games in the future.
We're gonna probably talk about some Brink next time, maybe. And I don't give a shit what else comes out because LA Noir is out in 4 days, and that's all I'm playing.
Yeah,
LA Noir.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
I'm excited.
I hope it doesn't
too.
let me down.
Awesome.
I got my pre-order in, which I never do.
All the signs are there.
So, yeah. The signs of what?
I'm just thinking.
Did you make a sacrifice?
No, I just totally have.
Did you make a sacrifice?
Red Dead Redemption.
It's not going to be Red Dead Redemption.
I know it's not. But
let's not have any false hopes. Because
I'm not having false hopes.
There's a potential that it could be ass.
The thing about Red Dead Redemption was I'm thinking the whole time Grand Theft. And then when I got that game, it was not Grand Theft. Grand Theft.
But it was still far more Grand Theft than this probably will be.
Well,
and as far as like similar play style,
saying, as long as they do story and have the story in there, Rockstar killed me with that story in Red Dead. And if they can do the same and keep me in Noir.
The only problem potentially, I like how this is what we're talking about.
It's actually a port of mist.
Look at us setting this up.
That I can't play that game. I can't understand people play Mist.
But Rockstar is just the publisher here.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand
that is
all
the difference from all their other games. So it probably is good to have some healthy skepticism.
But I want a story.
But I'm super excited.
I'm just saying story.
It's gonna be awesome.
But don't
I sincerely hope there are
let's
puzzles
not
where you
have
have to
any-
push statues around the floor or something.
I
like
also
that.
too.
No
You have to find the
unlock the
moon
door.
piece.
Yes.
Fucking 40s LA. What is this all about?
Maltese Falcon.
Let's leave.
Done.
Out.
Thanks, everybody.
If you are receiving this transmission, this has been a pseudo radio production. Repeat, this has been a pseudo radio production, copyright 2011.